Good afternoon, Salome. Salome. Salome, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about you?
Good, sir.
I just saw your name and I felt like calling you because you have a very nice name, Salome. Very, very nice name. Very unique name. Very catchy. Very trendy. Very cool kind of a name. Okay. So I just thought of telling you. So, Salome, were you able to log in properly yesterday into your ERP system? Salome? Salome is not answering me. Salome, you don't like to talk? Okay, as Salome is not talking with me, so let me shift myself to whom should I talk with? Let me talk with Sarth Jagdari.
Yes,
Sarth,
sir.
are you there? Okay, Sarth. How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Salome did not want to talk with me, so I said कि चलो Sarth बात करेगा मेरे से. So
Okay,
Sarth,
sir.
would you
Yes,
like to
sir.
talk with me?
Sure, sir.
No problem, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So by the time all join, it is good for me to know all of you all, one by one, slowly and steadily. It is said that from 24th, from November, the college are going to resume. So if it resumes, it will be best. We'll be seeing each other personally, isn't it? But if not, till that time, let us be with each other on at least on the virtual platform, right? Okay. So, Sarth, you are properly from?
Sir, I'm from Satara.
You're from Satara. Okay, fine. Eager to come to Pune? What is the
Yes,
situation?
sir.
Eager to come to Pune.
Yes.
That's nice. That's nice. Okay. And how about yesterday? How were you able to log in yesterday?
No, sir, I couldn't log in. I tried it multiple times, but I couldn't.
Okay. Then you called Pankaj sir for the help assistance.
I contact, matlab after lecture, I told him that he said that
Hmm.
those who couldn't join, he'll arrange one more session for them.
Acha, so you are not able to understand, or were
No,
you
no,
not present?
no, I couldn't join the lecture.
You don't join the lecture. Oh, you missed my lecture, yeah. Hmm?
Sir, I tried it, but it was unable.
Acha, you were unable to join the lecture.
हाँ,
So what
right.
was the reason? What was the reason?
I don't know server problem they told.
Okay, some server problem. Fine, fine,
Hmm.
fine. It's
Yes.
good. No problem. So you have not logged in up till now. That's okay. That's
Sir,
good.
only yesterday's lecture it wasn't uh, unable to.
Okay, okay, okay. No problem. No problem. It happens. Many times we are not able to deliver the lecture. We ourselves are not able to log in, or many times it happens that we are giving a lecture, we just keep on talking, but the other people are you on the other side are not able to hear us or not able to see us or not able to see our presentation. Okay, many times the Wi-Fi goes in between, so that is also the time that we are not able to take in the lectures. Anyway, Sarth, Diwali की shopping वगैरह हो गई?
Yes, sir,
Done
kind
with your
of.
Diwali shopping? Kind of. So what all have you purchased?
So normal traditional wear.
Normal traditional wear. Okay.
Yeah.
So kurta वगैरह ले लिया आपने,
हाँ.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And no jeans and shirt, etc.
So that it is already purchased.
So when did you purchase that?
It was matlab I have them already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Diwali special नहीं किया क्या? No
नहीं
Diwali
नहीं
special
sir, due to
purchasing.
corona it wasn't possible for me.
It was not possible for you to go.
हाँ.
Okay, fine. So and what about Farala, etc.?
Uh,
Sweets done by mom?
family. Yes, sir.
Okay, started eating it also?
No, no, it is still being prepared.
It is still being prepared. Okay. So you didn't taste it, is it?
Yes, sir, not yet.
You tasted or not?
No, no, not yet.
Mitesh is asking me some question. Let me answer him in between. Mitesh is asking me, sir, from which a college will get started? Mitesh, why do you ask me privately only in the chat box? You can ask to everyone. No, no problem. You can open your question to everyone. Your questions are nice. Mitesh, the college will start from 23rd. So having final lectures. So you'll be having holidays into 22nd. So 23rd, the college will get started either online or maybe offline if the college will start offline also, depending upon the government's norms, what government is telling upon that. But definitely either online or offline, the college will start from 23rd. Okay, 23rd of November. So from 13th to 22nd, you are going to have holiday. 13th will be the first day of your vacation, and 22nd would be the last day of your vacation. Okay, I hope, yeah, Mitesh, you have understood. Okay, good. Khushi is asking something. Just let me check what Khushi is asking. Khushi is saying from 23rd November college from 9 to 12. Yeah. Khushi, the same timing, unless and until you get any further instruction, the same timing should be there from 9 to 12. Okay. From 9 to 12 in the sense, in the morning 9 to 12 and in the afternoon, whatever the timings are. So whatever timetable is given to you as of now is going to remain constant till the time any instruction comes to you. That you have to remember, right? So most of the students have joined. We have near about 42 participants. Let us start with our lecture in of communication. Now, in communication, we have seen the definition of communication. We have seen the process of communication. We have seen the importance of communication. Then we went on to see the process of communication, where we saw that the process of communication starts from the source or the message, then encoding, then decoding, then the receiver, then the feedback. We saw the whole process, and then we said that this is the way that communication is taking place. But does the communication always take place in the right way? Whatever the instructions are given by the sender, are those instructions received and followed by the receiver properly? Does this happen every time? No, most of the time. Okay, most of the time I'm telling you, there is some problem that happens in the communication. Whatever the person has to tell, whatever I tell, the other persons do not follow it. Like, just take example of yesterday. Yesterday I was giving instruction. There were near about 20 to 30 or 40% of the people, let us assume maximum 50 number of the people, 50% of the people who were able to follow it. The communication was oral as well as the communication was written also, because I had what you call that, I had my PPT ready for that presentation also. Okay, so that communication was oral, that communication was written. But what has happened? Did everybody follow that communication? No. Many of them were not able to log in. Many of them were not able to understand what I am saying. Okay, there may be many reasons. There may be many different barriers that were there for communication. Like for example, for Sarth, he was able to even start with the communication. I was sending the message to him, but he was not able to receive the message because the channel was faulty. Over here in my in when I communicated with Sarth, the problem that happened was the channel itself was faulty. Okay, that's why we were not able to communicate with each other. Whereas in some case, I don't remember, but I said that please do not fill your CBCS form. That was the instruction that was given by me. But some of the students, though I gave this instruction, did not follow that instruction, maybe because they do not listen to me, or they felt कि यार वानी सर कुछ भी बोलते हैं, उनका कुछ सुनना नहीं है अपने को, whatever it may be. But they already started filling the CBCS form. Okay, so there is always some communication gap, okay, that remains in between the sender and the receiver. Okay, and that communication gap, whatever happens, okay, is known as barrier of communication. So there is always a barrier that exists between communication, and most of the time this barrier is there. Like if I am delivering a lecture, or if I am communicating with thousands of people, there are about 600 to 700 people are not able to understand, or they are not able to, whatever I wanted to encode, whatever message I want to pass on, either my encoding is wrong or their decoding is faulty. So whatever I want to say, the other people are not able to understand. This obstacle, this problem that happens in communication, okay, is nothing but barrier in communication. It is the obstruction in the process of communication that is taking place. It is a problem that is there existing in encoding and decoding of the messages. Now, these barriers can be different kinds of barriers, which you are going to see in detail. The barrier can be physiological barrier, it can be a physical barrier, it can be a cultural barrier, it can be the barrier because of language, it can be a barrier because of the gender, it can be interpersonal barriers, it can be interpersonal barriers, it can be psychological barriers, it can be emotional barriers. So there are different barriers that exist. And because of these barriers, what is happening is the communication process is getting hampered. There is a barrier that is there in the communication process. As I said, it rarely happens that whatever message you want to communicate to the other person, he is able to understand that communication in one go. एक बार में आपके दोस्त को कुछ बताया और उसको आपको वापस एक्सप्लेन नहीं, understood your communication very tightly. That very rarely happens, and that happens whenever that happens. Okay, कि आप कुछ कोड में उसको बताते हो, आप कुछ एनकोड करते हो वर्ड्स, you tell him and the other person is able to understand immediately what you say. हमारी बराबर ट्यूनिंग बैठ गई है, isn't it? That is what you say, कि हम दोनों की ट्यूनिंग बैठ गई है. That tuning has taken place in between you both, and because of that tuning and because of that understanding that is in between the two people, that is the time only that the communication process is smooth and no barrier takes place. Your wavelength, the wavelength of yourself and your friend or the receiver who is there. So the wavelength of the sender, the wavelength of the receiver, they both have matched. When they both match each other, that is the time, okay, that the communication between the two, between the sender as well as the receiver, okay, both take place very smooth. And this tuning or this understanding cannot be with each and every person. Your understanding cannot be there with each and every person that exists on this earth. And as this understanding is not there, as this tuning is not there, and as there are so many barriers, okay, we are going to see each one of them in detail, as there are so many barriers that are existing. And that is why this communication is always a failure. Now you will say, sir, then why are we studying these barriers? If there are so many barriers that are existing, if there is so much problem in the communication, okay, why are we studying this process of communication? Why are we studying this barrier of communication? What is the importance of this topic that we are studying? Why are we trying to study this barrier? Is because so that at the end you understand what are the barriers, and while you are communicating, you have to take care that you overcome all these barriers, okay, and then you try to communicate. So if you overcome all these barriers and then if you communicate, will the communication be smooth? Will the communication be 100% successful? No, you cannot guarantee, okay, that the communication would be 100% successful, but definitely the chances of communication being successful, your message not getting distorted, your message being understood by the other person, okay, in the most proper way, the chances of all these increases, because now you know the barrier and you are trying to overcome the barriers. In order to overcome the barriers, you should first know what are the barriers, okay, and then you should know how I will be able to overcome this barrier. So if you know the barriers, if you overcome these barriers in your communication, then the communication would be successful. Finally, successful communication is going to lead to a successful organization, okay. So what is our main aim? Our main aim is what? That the organization should be successful, okay. You as a person should be successful. So if the communication is successful, you as a person become successful, and if you as a person you become successful, then what is going to happen? The organization is going to be successful, and finally who is going to get the benefits? You are going to get the benefits. So this is it is so much important that these barriers have to be understood and it has to be removed. Let us see the first barrier that exists. The first barrier that exists is a physiological barrier, okay. Physiology, it is something to do with your body, is it? So your body is such, the problem with the what you call that physiology of your body. There are some problem that is existing in a person. It may be the sender, the one who is saying, or it may be the problem that is there with the receiver. Physiological problem, okay, related to your health, that is there with the sender or that is there with the receiver. And because of this physiological barrier, what happens is the communication doesn't take place successfully. Let us take the first of physiological barrier, that is poor retention due to memory problem. बराबर है? We do not have sharp memory. We require a lot of things to be processed. Our main brain is not that very sharp, okay, and hence we cannot retain many things. Many times my wife tells me 2 to 3 things to be brought from the market. ये लेके आओ, वो लेके आओ, bring this, bring that. She tells me 3-4 things to be brought, okay, maximum 5 things to be brought, and out of that what happens with Mr. Manish Wandi? If he brings 3 things and 1 or 2 things he forgets to bring from the market. Why does this happen? And then what happens is there is poor communication. Whatever she had told me, I listened to it, I decoded it properly, whatever she wanted. After decoding, उसमें decoding में भी problem होता है, okay. In problem, the problem happens in decoding also. For example, she tells me some example as she tells me in Marathi, so I'll give you the example in Marathi only. She will tell me one more thing I want to tell you. There are very few things that I do in my house, but whenever supposing उसने मुझे बोल दिया चौड़ी आना, बराबर है? अभी मुझे बताओ, उसने बोला कि चौड़ी लेके आओ. चौड़ी is one of the those who are Hindi speaking or those who don't understand Marathi. Is she has told me something to bring. So चौड़ी आना. Now this चौड़ी are of 2 types. That चौड़ी की वो जो पत्ते वाली भाजी भी रहती है, वो भी रहती है, या फिर ते कडधान्य, ओके, सीरियल्स, उसको भी चवड़ी बोलते हैं मराठी में. सो डिकोडिंग इज नॉट प्रॉपर फ्रॉम माय साइड. ओके, just give me a second. Sorry, charging problem was there. Let me charge my mobile, sorry, laptop. Okay, fantastic. So decoding में भी प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है, पहली बात तो. ओके, या कमिंग बैक टू द पॉइंट ऑफ पुअर रिटेंशन. So she has told me 5 things. I remember only few, 2 or 3 things, 1 or 2 things I don't bring. So what is the problem? The problem was in poor retention. And finally what has happened, the feedback from that goes from me is 5 में से मैंने सिर्फ 3 लाए. So was the communication successful? No, the communication was not successful. So what she should have done in order to have a proper communication, either she should have written that and given it to me, or if I know that I am not able to remember the things, I should have made a list of it in writing, and I should have kept that list with me. Isn't it? There is a very beautiful story, that I don't know you have heard it or not. There was one person like this only. उसकी बीबी उसको काम बताती थी. The wife used to tell him the things, and while coming back he used to forget it. So his wife said that do one thing, take a thread and tie it to your finger. So whenever you see that thread, you will remember that there is something that you have to do. Okay, and you will understand and you will remember the work that I have told you. So while going in the morning, what she did was she took a thread, she tied it to the finger of that person. Okay, and she said, now whenever you look in the whole day, whenever you look at this thread, you will remember the work that I have told you. So he goes in the morning to work. He's always seeing that finger. He says, yes, मुझे आज घर जाते वक्त काम करना है पक्का. I should not forget it. मुझे घर जाते वक्त काम करना है. By the time 5 o'clock is there, he starts back from his office to home, and he says, yes, finger पे मेरे क्या है, thread, and I have to do some work. But the problem now is he has to do some work, but he has forgotten what work has to be done. Okay, so that is so these are the stories of poor retention. You have poor memory, and because of that there is a lack of communication. Okay, so whatever the other person tells is आपण म्हणतो ना पुढचं पाठ मागचं सपाट. Okay, so you remember the recent things that have been told, whereas whatever was told earlier you forget it. The second physiological problem that happens is because of the lack of attention or the poor listening skill. One of the students had asked me about listening skill, where I said that listening skill is very, very important for a good communication. Okay. So sometimes what we do is that there is the listener, the receiver doesn't pay attention to what you are saying. Okay. Or he has poor listening skill. Poor listening skill, this happens. This poor listening skill is because, as I told you, the speaker, he can speak a number of he speaks very less, whereas he can receive many words at a process. So the decoding is very faster at the receiver's end, whereas the encoding at the end is less. So number of spoken words are less, whereas the number of words that can be processed and listened are more. So what happens is there is a gap that is remaining, and in that gap what happens is the receiver, he migrates somewhere else. Okay, वो दूसरा ही सोचने लगता है. अभी भी बहुत सारे अपने there might be students who are just listening to me, but they are not attentive. They are thinking something else. They are thinking about shopping. They are thinking about Diwali. They are thinking, बाबा ये जो अपना सार थे उसकी तो शॉपिंग हो गई, उसने तो ले लिया ट्रेडिशनल ड्रेस, अभी तक मैंने लिया नहीं है, कब लूंगा मैं. tomorrow there is Thursday lectures are there again, sorry Wednesday lectures are there, Friday तो दिवाली शुरू हो रही है, क्या करूँ मैं, कैसा करूँ, या फिर the crackers, whether I should burst the crackers or not, and so on and so forth. So they are wandering in their own territory. So there is a lack of attention. Many times when you are doing some work, okay, this also happens many times. You are involved in some work in the organization, in the factory, in the at your workplace. You are busy with your own work, and then somebody comes and tells you something. You just say okay, okay to him. ठीक है, कर दूंगा. But actually, you have not listened only what he has said. Okay, so that is lack of attention. Next is poor listening skill, whereby you don't like to listen. This happens with most of the people. Most of the people are poor listener. Okay, but they like to say something. So you start saying something, the receiver, the sender starts saying something, and before he completes the sentence, before he has because he has said his point, the सामने वाला अपने points बोल देता है. He starts telling his own story. He doesn't like to listen, but he likes to be the center. Okay, so poor listening skill is another psychological problem, a physiological barrier that exists. There might be discomfort due to illness. You are ill. As you are ill, that's why whatever the other person is saying, you are not able to understand. Okay, you are not in that right frame of your mind. Your body is not able to accept whatever the other person is saying. Whenever the other person is saying, your head starts spinning, etc. Just imagine you seeing a movie or you seeing a TV when you are ill, and you seeing a movie when you are very fit and fine. There is a difference between your reception, right? What you receive, there is quite a lot of difference. So when there is a discomfort, okay, either with the sender, if I am not well, then I won't be able to speak with this vigor and passion, okay, with you, right? At the same time, if God forbid, if somebody else from the other side is not well, then what is going to happen? He or she is not going to be able to take that communication, whatever I have sent, in the proper spirit, right? Understood? So this is so there is a barrier in communication due to illness. There may be the barrier in communication because of the poor sensory perception. Okay, there may be the barrier because of the hearing problem. Okay, so you are not able to hear properly, or the other person is not able to say the words properly. Some people stammer. Some people eat some words. Okay, some people are not able to process fast. Okay, they are not able to process the words fast, and they speak very slowly. Some people voice volume, the volume of the voice is too small. Okay, as the volume is too small, that's why what you have to do is you have to focus too much. You have to pay a lot of attention in order to hear what he's saying. So either he's having the problem, either the receiver is having the problem of hearing. If you yourself have hearing problem, अगर वो जोर से भी बोलेगा तो you'll not be able to hear. Or if the other person is himself speaking very slowly, then also there will be a communication gap, right? Poor listening skill we have already talked about. There may be the problem, as I told you, there may be another problem of information overload, whereby you are passed on with information so fast. Like yesterday's session, there was too much information that was going on from my side. So that's why many people found it to be difficult to process that information faster. You have to log in also, then you have to change the password also. Okay, some students they didn't see that sheet that I had given. In the place of user ID, they wrote their email IDs only. Okay, some people did not hear that I have to you have to write down S initial before the code that was given, because there was a lot of information that was flowing from my side, and as there was information overloading, hence what was happening was there was a communication gap that existed between me and you. Okay, Then there is a physiological difference with respect to genders also. Male are perceived to be, okay, I'm just talking about perceived, they are thought to be more stronger than the female. Okay, so the voice of when I talk about the physiological difference between a male and a female, voice of a male is perceived to be, okay, I'm not gender biased, but point दिया है इसलिए मुझे explain करना पड़ रहा है. Okay, so the females are said to be very soft spoken. They have very sweet but very melodious, but they have what you call that, they are they speak softly, they speak slowly, right? Whereas if you take males, sorry, these males, the voice level, the pitch is quite high, right? So like this, there are many physiological differences that exist between a male and a female. The female, as I told you, they like to talk too much, right? The females, they speak too what you call that, continuously, non-stop. Okay, they can speak. Whereas if you see males, except for those who are in teaching profession like me, they like to speak less. Okay, they like to speak to the point, whereas a female would be very elaborative in nature. So these differences also, so there are some differences between the male and a female, okay, with respect to the voice pitch, with respect to the quality of the voice, okay, with respect to the listening skill. If you see males, they have very good listening skill. भी बोलते रहते, आप सुनते रहते हो, बोलते रहो. Okay, so they have a very good listening skill if you compare a male. Whereas if you see to the female, they don't listen much, but they like to say much. Okay, so these are some of the gender differences with respect to physiology that is been existing in between a male and female. So these are also the barriers that happen in between the communication. Okay, moving ahead with the physiological barriers. Okay, so this is the elaborative notes on whatever I have said earlier. That is, the physiological barriers are with respect to the human body and human mind. Okay, with respect to memory, attention, and perception. It deals with the individual's personal discomfort, that is ill health. It can be poor eyesight. Poor eyesight is also very important. Okay, in case of non-verbal communication, okay, the communication that happens because of gesture only, eyesight becomes very important. Are you able to see what the other people is trying to what you call that, act? Okay, so whatever the communication is done without oral or without written is done with the help of gesture. So that you should be able, that will be called only if you have a very good eyesight. In case of hearing difficulties, we have already talked about. The first point in elaboration we have taken about is the poor listening skill. I told you that the speaker says very few words, that is near about 125 words, whereas the listener, he hears near about, he can what call that, listen and receive near about 400 to 600 words per minute. So in this free time, mostly the listener, he gets sidetracked, he loses his attention. Okay, he cannot focus on things. More so ever when there are people who speak very few words. They don't speak fast, they speak very slow. They process very few words. Okay, that time this problem arises. Now in case of poor listening skill, this is one aspect that we have to that we consider. Okay, whereby the receiver, he wants to receive more words, but there are some receivers. Okay, you have a sender and you have a receiver. There are some receivers who cannot process the things very faster. They cannot decode the process, they cannot decode it very faster, right? In such cases, whatever the information is passed with the sender, if he's speaking very fast, like I have the habit of speaking faster, the number of words that I speak would be too much. So there may be receivers that may be existing who are not able to process those words. So in that case, this receiver would prefer where a sender is going to send few words. So he's going to talk slowly, and then the receiver is going to be able to process. Okay, so that also is possible. Then this the solution to this kind of a problem would be, you should be instead of becoming a passive listener, you should become an active listener. Okay, then as from the point of view of the sender, the sender should check the signs. Okay, that is whether the listener is premature frowning, or he's shaking his head, or he's having a bored look. Okay, that kind of a things will give an idea to you as a sender, okay, as a communicator, whether the person is having poor listening skill or not. In such cases, if the person is having a poor listening skill, then you do not elaborate much on the points that you are telling him. Then information overloads, I talked about it when I gave you the yesterday's example. Okay, so where there is continuous flow of information, there is no control on the flow of information. In such cases, the information should be given slowly, and it should be given stepwise, which I tried to do yesterday, so that you don't miss any information. Okay, and you are able to process it. In such cases, the information can be, if there is continuous flow of information, there is no control on the flow of information, then the information can be misinterpreted, it can be forgotten, it can be overlooked. Okay, or the communication also may get distorted. In attention, I talked about where you are saying something, but the other person is not listening. Okay, so the other person does not listen, but we say the other person only hears. So he is hearing you. Okay, the words are going into his ear, but he is not decoding that words what are being said by you. He's just listening from one ear and he's leaving from the other ear. Okay, so that is nothing but an inattention. There might be some physiological problem with respect to emotional state. Emotion we are going to talk as one of the barriers in detail. Okay, but if emotionally, this is also a physiological state, this is also a state of mind. Okay, now if the person is angry, if the person is sad, if the person is happy, accordingly he is going to take your message, right? If the person is very irritated, if he's very sad, और आपने कोई जोक मार दिया, what is going to happen? He is going to get irritated, वो आपको झाप देगा, आपको कुछ arrogantly बोल देगा, right? Because his state of mind is not good. It is going to impact many times the sender. Okay, also does not speak properly. And if the person is very happy, as a receiver you are going to receive whatever the other person is saying. As a sender, you are going to deliver the what you call that message very happily. It is going to impact your body language also. Okay, so how you are, if emotional factors are going to affect your body language, it is going to affect your pronunciation, it is going to affect the pressure that you're going on the pressure that you're going on the speech, it is going to affect the pitch, it is going to affect the tone, it is going to affect the voice of the sender. Okay, poor retention we already talked about the memory. This is the another problem that happens. So this was all regarding the physiological barrier, the barrier that exists in your mind, or the bodily barrier with respect to your body. These were the barriers that were existing. Now the second type of barrier that happens in communication is physical barrier. This has nothing to do with the body, but it has to do something with your surrounding. What happens around your surrounding, it has to deal something with that. Okay, the main three aspects that are considered over in physical barrier are time, the noise. Okay, in most of the textbook you will find these three factors: time, noise, and the distance. Okay, these three are the physical barriers. Now, just for an example, many a times you must have seen कि नहीं नहीं तूने गलत वक्त पे ये चीज बोल दी. That is why that person got affected. That person got affected because you have spoken this word at a wrong time. Your communication was at a wrong time. He was not able to take that communication. Okay. So timing of the communication is very, very important. That is one of the major important physical barrier that exists. Just for example, there is an exam that is going on, right? And you are asking and you are talking about movies with your friend. He's not going to like to communicate about movies during the examination period. But the same person would be happy to communicate with you regarding movies or regarding maybe IPL or maybe regarding cricket match, regarding Sachin Tendulkar, regarding Virat Kohli or anybody. Okay. When he is quite free, he is mentally quite free. At that moment of time, he would be happy to communicate with you on other aspects. Similarly, a person won't be happy to communicate or won't be able to, there will be a barrier that will be existing between your communication when you are talking about studies when the exams get over. So after the exams gets over and you call your friend and you tell him that I have notes of this chapter. They are very good notes. What are you going to say? Yeah, don't talk anything about examinations now. I am done with the examination, so don't talk anything about the studies. Let us talk about something else. Isn't it? Because the timing is wrong. At the same time, if you tell him about the notes during the examination, then he is going to start the communication with you. अरे वाह यार कौन से नोट्स है तुम्हारे पास? Which textbooks you have referred? Where are the notes given? Will you scan and send it to me? Will you xerox the notes for take it from you? There is a barrier of communication, okay, when you're talking about movies during examination, but there is no barrier when you're talking about notes during examination and vice versa. Okay, so the timing is very, very important. So this is one of the physical barrier that exists, that is the time. Okay, गलत वक्त पे गलत चीज बोलना या सही वक्त पे सही चीज बोलना. बोलते हैं ना this thing has strike the person or he remembers it because this he has heard at the right time, because this you have told him at the right time. Okay, the next physical barrier is the uncomfortable meeting place. Just see this meeting place. Okay, is there going to be proper communication at this meeting place where there is a totally chaotic situation? And just see this meeting place. Okay, where the communication is going to be effective. Definitely over here the communication is going to be effective because the meeting place itself is very good. Here the background noise, okay, what you have written over here, the background noise is very high. I am taking a lecture, okay, or आपके neighbor ने, okay, where you are sitting, your neighbor has started what you call that, has started a tape recorder and the volume is too high. Will you be able to concentrate on the lecture? Will you be able to understand my communication? No, there is going to be a communication gap. Whatever I am saying, you're not able to understand, you're not able to code, you're not able to decode. Okay, that problem is going to happen. At the same time, just imagine that you're sitting in at your home listening to my lecture, and your big brother or your small brother, what he does it, or sister, what he or she does it, he puts the TV. Will you be able to focus on my communication? No, you won't be able to focus on my communication. Right? Your attention will be diverted. So, background noise is also a very important physical barrier that exists. Poor lighting. If the lighting is not proper, then also there is going to be this communication gap is going to be more because you're not able to understand. I have heard that in our meeting, Bogre sir told our professors that many students are requesting that the teacher should keep his or her video on. Okay, like I have kept this video on. In the similar manner, the student should keep the faculty should keep their video on. Why they want the video to be on? Because along with the oral communication that is happening, you want to have the communication which is a non-verbal, non-written communication. That is a communication of gesture, the hands, whatever hand movement that I am doing. Okay, whatever the movement I am, movement you are, those movement you want to see, right? So that the communication becomes more effective. Whatever I am trying to say, you are able to grasp that communication. Okay, that is why what you want is, you want oral communication where I am speaking. You want written communication whereby the slides are displayed. At the same time, you want to see the communication which are there in gesture, whereby you are able to see me, right? And if there is poor light, will you be able to see me? No. Will you be able to see the communication which the person is doing? No. Okay. Non-verbal communication, non-written communication, even written communication you cannot read if there is poor lighting. Okay. So the lighting is very important aspect if it is a written communication or it is a communication with the gestures. For that, light is very, very important. Then the sitting arrangement. Just imagine you are going into a moving hall, or you are sitting for a lecture where the sitting place is not very comfortable. The seats are very hard. Will you be able to sit on a wooden stool, okay, for a lecture for near about say 2 to 3 hours? No, it is very, very difficult to sit over there. To sit on without having anything to sit, you can see how I'm sitting now. I'm sitting in a relaxed position whereby there is something which I am where I'm resting my back, okay, and I am sitting very comfortably. If this comfort is getting lost, will I be able to communicate? No, my communication is going to get affected. I'm going to do fidgeting from here to there because I am not comfortable sitting over there. Okay. At the time, you are made to sit on a table where there is nothing to rest your back. Okay, if the surface is very, very hard, will you be able to sit over there for a longer period of time? No. Even if you sit, will you be able to understand the communication? No. Really uncomfortable. So you require a very good comfortable sitting position. If the sitting position where you are sitting not comfortable, just imagine a person sitting over here and listening. If you can see this chair, a person is sitting over here and he is listening to the communication, and other person who is sitting on a stool, okay, and then he is listening to the communication. Just imagine kitna difference hone wala hai, right? This person is going to able to communicate. Okay, this person will be able to communicate, and this person would be able to receive the message very effectively as compared to the other person who are sitting on the room. Unhygienic room, the room which is stinking, the room which is having bad odor, the room which is filthy, like over here. Will this the communication that takes place in this room, is it going to be effective? No, it is not going to be effective. The person sitting in the room, the communicator who is the sender, he is going to be worried about the smell, the odor, the whatever the atmosphere, that is the unhygienist, that is unhygienicness that is present inside the room. He will be worried about that. Whereas if the room is hygienic in nature, then what is going to happen? The person, both the person, the receiver and the sender, they are now will be able to concentrate on the communication. They don't have to worry about the hygiene of that room. Okay, hence the communication would be very, very smooth. Okay, there will be no physical barrier that would be present. The next important thing is about the distance in communication, right? I am I am standing at the room. I am standing at one corner of the room, and the other person is standing at another, or I am standing on the top of the building, and other person is standing at the base of the building, and I communicate from here to this person, he turn communicates with me from here to here, or the communication is from, and he gives me the feedback to the other end. And there is another place whereby I am standing over here and the other person is standing here too. Just imagine which communication would be better. Will this communication be better? No, this communication would not be better. Whether this communication will be better? No, this communication would not be better. Whether this communication would be better? Definitely this communication would be better. Just imagine that we are sitting in a classroom and I explaining this topic. Okay, I'm standing over here, you all are sitting over here, and I am explaining you this topic. The communication will be effective? Yes. The communication will be effective. Because at that time, I am able to see your gestures, I am able to see your body language, you are able to see me. Okay, there is no distortion, there is no noise that is happening. Okay, there is no problem in networking, etc. So the communication is going to be good. Here, the communication is going to be good. Just imagine that in previous days, okay, not now with the mobiles, etc., that you're having, and the technology has improved, but in the previous days when your dada and dadi used to do trunk call, okay, there was thing that was known as trunk call. If you're not aware what a trunk call is, then please ask your father, mother, your parents, or your dada dadi. They will tell you what a trunk call was. Distance call, which used to happen from your phone. Okay. Now, when this trunk call used to take place, there was always what you call that the other person was not able to hear properly because of the distance. The distance between two people, okay, was too far, and hence, what was happening is the communication gap was existing. There was a barrier in communication. So this physical barrier, once again, barrier happens because of time. You are saying wrong things at wrong time, or you are saying right things at right time. Wrong thing at wrong time or right thing at wrong time also is going to cause problem. Okay, it's going to lead to communication gap. You have an uncomfortable meeting place, you have background noise, you have poor lighting, you have uncomfortable sitting, you have unhygienic room, or you have distance. The distance between two person is too far. Okay, because of all these reasons, there is a physiological barrier that exists between the communication. As a communicator, if you want to make communication, if you want to make this communication successful, then you have to choose a right time to tell the right thing. जो आप बराबर करते हो, है कि नहीं? You know it very well. डैडी से कब पॉकेट मनी मांगना है, नया मोबाइल चाहिए तो आप डैडी से कब मांगोगे, आपको बराबर मालूम है. You choose the right time in order to communicate with your daddy, in order to communicate with your mummy, in order to communicate with your friend. आपको फ्रेंड से कुछ चाहिए, you choose a very right time to communicate. आप क्या बोलते हैं, नहीं नहीं आज आता हूँ डैडी से regarding मोबाइल because his mood is not good, and if I say something now then he is going to get angry on me. Let me talk with him tomorrow or day after tomorrow. That time I am going to ask for my new bike, or I am going to ask for my new mobile, or something of that sort. So you choose a right time for that. So in order to make the communication, what you have to do is you have to choose a right time. You have to choose a right place for the communication, isn't it? The place which is having a proper place for sitting, the place which is not having any background, the place which is having good lighting arrangement, the place which is having very good sitting arrangement, the place which is unique in nature. Choose the right time, you have to choose the right place, and you have to choose the right distance in between the communication. Okay, you have to see that the distance between you and the receiver is not too much in order to make the communication effective. So these physical barriers, what you are going to remove, what you are going to do, you are going to remove these physical barriers in order to have a very effective communication. So this is about the second barrier that exists in communication, that is physical barriers. Let me take a break over here, and please let me answer any question that you have. So any question that you have regarding your physiological barrier or regarding your physical barrier, please do ask me. I'm waiting for your. You don't have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, so if you don't have any questions, there are two things that happens. Either you have understood everything or you have not understood anything. So I don't know what is the scenario. Have you understood everything or not? So please do write down in the chat box. Please give me the feedback whether you have understood or whether you have not understood whatever I have told you up till now. Okay, Ananya is saying understood. Anybody else who wants to say that he has not understood? Halfly understood. Mitesh? So please do let me know what is the part that you have not understood. Mitesh, you have written that you have halfly understood. So there must be some part that you have not understood. Can you tell me which part you have not understood? Reply. Mitesh, if you can open your mic and tell me the part that you have not understood, so I can explain it once again.
Sir, the poor lighting part. What
The
is the
poor
impact
lighting
of poor
part.
lighting?
Okay. I'll explain the poor lighting part once again. Now, what I said was, in case of communication, as I told you, are of three types. You have oral communication, you have written communication, and you have non-oral, non-written communication. This non-oral, non-written communication is the communication that you do with your body language, what you talk about. Okay. Now your oral communication may be understood. Okay, even if there is a poor lighting. Okay. So whatever I am saying, even if the light goes and if you're talking in a room, the other person may be able to understand it. But just imagine if there is poor lighting and you are reading and you are writing down a written communication, or you are reading a written communication, like आपके दादा दादी है and they are reading something in poor lighting, will they be able to read it? No, right? Even if they read it, there are some parts that they may skip from that because of the poor lighting part. In the similar manner about the gestures also, the body language of the other person cannot be seen if there is poor lighting. So the lighting should be good. One thing is it gives a very pleasant atmosphere. Just see this atmosphere. Okay, during communication. इस रूम में communication हो रहा है, right? And now just imagine the communication that is happening in this room with this kind of lighting, and just imagine the communication that is happening when you turn off half of the lights और सिर्फ ये बल्ब चालू है. Only this single bulb is giving the light, and all other lighting you have closed down. When the communication would be good? Definitely, the communication should be good and effective. I don't say that the communication would not take place. The communication would definitely take place. but there would be a barrier in communication. Okay, but if all the lights are on, then what is going to happen? Then there won't be not be any barrier in communication. Also important, if it is a written and the communication which takes place with the sign language, with the body. Okay, body language. With that, the communication is going to improve if the lighting is good. Have you understood, Bitesh, now? Is it clear now? Okay, okay. Thank you. If it is clear to you. Now, the next type of barrier. So you have seen physiological barrier, which was with respect to your body structure, your how your body is behaving at that moment of time. Then we saw the physiological barrier, the physical barrier. So physiological barrier was related to your body. Then we saw the physical barrier. The physical barrier was related to your surrounding. It was related to the time. It was related to place. Okay. It was related to time, place, and the distance. Okay. Then let us go to the third barrier that exists, that is the cultural barrier. Each of this person is different from the other person, right? Whatever he is communicating may not be understood by this person because culturally both of them are similar. अगर ये गीता को कोई श्लोक बोलता है, this person, if he says some shlok from Gita, then maybe this person would not be in a position to understand. Or if this person says some sentences from Bible, okay, maybe this person would not be in a position to understand because culturally each of them is different. In the similar manner, religiously, culturally, you are different from the other person. Your cultural values are different. Whereas the cultural values, the cultural beliefs, the behavior, cultural behavior of the other person is different. So maybe the communication that is happening in between two, because of the lack of a person may be too Western, a person may be too cool, he may be too yo in your language. Okay, that may be that person. Okay, he may be quite forward, right? In terms of what you call that mental this thing acumen, he may be quite forward. A Western person with a Western soch in mind is talking with a traditional person. Will their communication will be effective? No. Whatever this person is saying, the person with Western what you call that culture, this traditional person is not able to grasp or is not able to accept it. As he is not able to accept it, as he is not able to grasp it, so what is going to happen? There is going to be a communication gap that is going to be existing. धीरूभाई अंबानी, ओके अभी तो वो नहीं है, मुकेश अंबानी, ओके, Mukesh Ambani is talking with a poor person. Will there be communication? He is talking about shares, he is talking about market values, he is talking about inflation with this poor person. Will there be communication? No, there will be a lot of communication gap. A young person talking with an old person, culturally both of them are different, isn't it? Is there going to be a communication that is going to exist in between them? No, there is going to be barrier. Whatever this person, young person, is trying to tell this old person, he is not able to understand it. So there is going to be a communication gap. At the same time, if he tries to give some values to this person, old person is trying to say something to the young person, ulta. Going to happen, then also there is going to be communication gap because he is not going to understand the values that he is trying to impart in this young person. Okay, so there are some barriers, there are some cultural barriers, there are some social barriers that are existing. There are so many religions. Okay, the teaching of each and every religion, okay, is going to be different, right? Though they all tell you one thing, they all tell you about peace, they all tell you about good deeds, but there may be some difference in between each and every religion. And hence, in between them, what happens is there usually exists a communication gap. It exists more because you are not able to, we don't want to understand other person's culture. We don't want to understand other person's tradition. We don't want to understand his values. We don't want to understand his beliefs. And as you don't want to understand the other person's values, beliefs, his traditions, so what happens is there is a gap that is existing in between you two. This barrier, this cultural barrier, this social barrier may be because of age, as I talked about, between young and old person. It may be because of gender, male and female. It may be because of socioeconomic status, which I talked about. Okay, this Mukesh Ambani talking with a poor person, a person like me. So there is going to be a lot of communication gap when Mukesh Ambani is talking with Manish Wani. He is going to talk about mergers. He is going to talk about acquisitions. He is going to talk about takeovers. He is going to talk about market values. He is going to talk about expansion of the business. These are the things that, and what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about lectures. I'm going to talk about completion of syllabus. I'm going to talk about giving the knowledge. These are the things. So culturally, we both are totally different. Socially, we are very different from each other. Also, the marital status. A communication of a married man and a communication of a non-married man. Communication of a married woman and communication of a young woman, okay, who is not married, is going to be different, isn't it? If a married man is talking with a non-married man, okay, then what is going to happen? There is going to be a barrier in communication, because what is the state of that person is not going to be understood by that person, by the other person who is not married. And then he says, लग्न कर म्हणजे तुला समजेल मी काय म्हणतो आहे, isn't it? You get married, the married person always says you get married, and then you will understand what I am trying to say to you. Your mother must have told, the mother must be telling a daughter many times. That's the sentence that I hear in my house also. When my mother, when my wife talks with their daughter. You get married and then you will understand what I am trying to tell you. Okay. So when there is a difference between the marital status, that time also what is there? There is a communication gap. Whatever my wife tells my daughters, they are not able to understand. So she says, get married and then you will understand what I am trying to tell you. Or one more sentence which the parent says, when you will have kids, at that time you will understand what you are trying to tell you. Isn't it? This is also the difference sentences with this also parents tell you. Because now they say there is a communication gap between you and me. What I'm trying to say, you are not able to understand. There is a gap. Because I am having kids, whereas you are not having kids. Okay? Got it?
Excuse me, sir.
So, yeah.
Sir, actually, we have a lecture like right now, 2:50.
Sorry. I forgot in my own mood. Okay. Thank you very much for reminding me. So, this is all about the cultural barriers. So,
Thank you, sir.
after Diwali, we are going to talk about the different barriers. Okay. Thank you very much. See you. You can log out now. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye. Take care. Bye.